Good morning, afternoon, good evening, compared wherever you are. It is Friday, August 25th, 2023, and today I am filming this just under the skin of my tongue to get it posted and released for Lunchtime Vlog. So today's topic is going to be 10 ways to cope when everything feels heavy and overwhelming. Now, in today's day and age, I think a lot of us can feel that way. So, sharing is caring, right? And So at some points, is everything feeling heavy and overwhelming to you lately? You're not alone. One of the hardest truths we will all accept is that life is not a bed of roses and it's full of ups and downs. So while we may wish that all good things happen in our lives, we often have to face the challenges that make everything feel heavy and overwhelming. Definitely can relate to that. A good example is it always seems like bad things are happening, whether it's in the world or at work or in our personal lives. All the bad things happening to you and around you can make you feel sad, stressed, worried, and leading you to feel heavy inside and overwhelmed. Since you can't avoid the bad things that happen to you or around you forever, it would be a good idea for you to know how to cope with everything when it feels heavy and overwhelming. Stress, sadness, and anxiety are intense emotions, and they can weigh heavily on you and affect the quality of your life, especially if you are an empath or a highly sensitive person. Now, I am not an empath, but I do seem to pick up on others' emotions and whatever I can relate to that. So, whenever you feel like you're carrying a heavy burden, or if you're overwhelmed with the tasks that you have to do, you should find ways to lighten your load, slow it down a pace, and give yourself a break. And hopefully by the end, we will have covered enough tips and we will have learned together how to cope with everything heavy and overwhelming. Because what our goal is to attract more positive energy into our lives when everything is overwhelming or too much. So we're going to do some steps, and it's how to cope with everything. So the number one tip was given is to unplug. And technology is one of our main and best inventions that we have at our hand. But unfortunately, using it exposes us to content that makes you feel stressed, anxious, or even overwhelmed. And despite our best efforts, you may not be able to always filter the content that you come across while you're scrolling through social media or TV for that matter. So to protect your mental health, you should consider disconnecting your devices and avoiding triggering material. You can use this time to find quiet time alone or some quiet downtime mentally for yourself to get emotionally, mentally, or sensory rest, or do things that improve your health instead. The number two key component is to breathe. We breathe without thinking or consciously trying to do it. However, the circumstances may force you to remind yourself to do so. Like a good example would be in a stressful or traumatic event, you feel tense, afraid, and anxious, which can even trigger panic attacks. So to prevent this or hopefully diminish it a bit, we want to learn ways to cope when we're feeling that anxiety, sadness, or overwhelming burdens. So there is one technique that I learned and that I will share. And I do hope that, especially in a time of being just stressed out to the max, it's a phrase that I heard, and you really don't have to learn how to do breathing techniques. If you do, there, I always encourage people to Google breathing while I'm stressed on YouTube, and you'll find some great videos. So I'm sorry, guys, I'm literally doing this, and I've got my coffee, and I've like been sipping it periodically, and it's not kicking in quite yet. So I hope you'll all bear with me on this one, because I love the topic of it, but I'm also trying to mentally wake up too, because I have a day off today. So getting back to my breathing technique that I use for myself, it's the phrase is smell the roses. So when you're breathing in, you're like you were smelling the roses. Like it's a bit of visualization at the same time as just like taking that deep breath. Smell the roses, hold it, and then blow out the candles. So you want to smell the roses, blow out the birthday candles. And normally that's I'll recommend like 10 times to do that. And it's just like keeping your eyes shut and visualizing the roses and the cake and blowing out the candles. Quick, easy. Nobody has to know what you're doing. And it's kind of a way to center yourself in a stressful time. So I hope that little tip helps. Because the deep breathing sends signals to your brain to calm down and relax, thereby reducing that stress and anxiety that you feel building up. The next pointer for coping with these feelings is to meditate. Sometimes when things feel stressed, sad, and overwhelming, they're not concurrent events. It could be that you're stuck in the past, you're obsessing over mistakes, or perhaps you're just worrying about too much about what's going to happen in the future. And if you want to learn to cope with when everything is kind of heavy and overwhelming, however, you need to bring yourself back to the present through meditation. Practicing meditation involves sitting in a quiet place, focusing on the present moment, and allowing your thoughts to pass through your mind without judgment or validation. According to a lot of studies, meditation is effective in helping people manage the feelings of anxiety and stress, and it also helps depressive episodes. Again, my best advice with that is to Google quick meditations on YouTube, and you'll find some great feeds for that as well. Key number 4 is to distract yourself. Ask yourself what makes you happy. What activities can you engage in and somehow tune out the rest of the world? When everything feels heavy and overwhelming in your life, one of the best ways to cope is to give yourself a break. If the present moment and events are making you feel stressed, worried, or sad, you can distract yourself by doing something that makes you happy, or something that you can fully immerse yourself in for a few minutes. Some of us do hobbies, exercising or taking a walk, or some of the things that you can do to take your mind off those overwhelming feelings, whatever eliciting intense emotions you are feeling temporarily. I highly recommend just walking away for a few minutes. Remove yourself. I understand that we can't all remove ourselves from that present situation, But whatever you can do to separate yourself from those thoughts and feelings or situation, give yourself a few minutes away. Number 5 is to write about your feelings. Now, writing can be therapeutic to others, but again, we're with technology today. We have tablets, we have journaling. I highly recommend journaling. Buy yourself a simple notebook and just write. Let everything out that's in your mind onto the notebook, and then you review it, reread it, and let it move on. Now, does it take away all the problems? No, but it's especially at night before you go to bed. If you're one to have a lot on your mind when you're trying to go to sleep, journaling is a very good way. You can journal via a voice memo to yourself, a video diary for yourself, journaling through an actual journal, or whatever works for you. Just having that ability to get those emotions that are kind of flowing through your brain, get them out and release them. I hope you like my hand movements. And I would highly suggest that you set some quiet time and alone time for yourself, depending on if you're a morning person or an evening person. If you're not a morning person, I definitely recommend you do it in the evening. If you are a morning person, I absolutely recommend getting up and doing a little bit of journaling for yourself when you wake up, or just go out and sit on a porch. If you don't have that option, just even a quick walk outside in the morning or at the evening will help you get out and connect with, as long as you're outside getting a little fresh air. My go-to is the beach. Now, where I live, I'm probably about a half hour from it, give or take. But I have one place I can go, and I normally my biggest time is in the dead of winter. I'll go down to the beach. There's no one there. It's open to the public. It's free to get in. Now, given if we don't have a lot of snow, you can go down and oh my gosh, I'm telling you, if it's when I'm near water, my breath signs water. So if it's a stream or brook, if you can't get out and get away, I suggest you take your phone with you, go find a quiet park or somewhere and just take 15 minutes of your day and actually be able to watch a beach video or a water video, something that you hear that you can just sit and relax and kind of drift away a little bit. For me, that's me personally, that's my go-to for when I am just totally stressed out. And another important aspect is number 6, protect your energy. Negative energy can get attached to you in many ways. For example, through the people that you allow in your life, in your surroundings, the content you consume, or even your own psyche. But negative attracts negative energy, even for most negative thoughts in your life. So if you want to learn how to cope when everything feels overwhelming and heavy, you need to start learning how to protect your energies. It can involve it can involve practicing that self-care we're talking about, getting rid of toxic friends who are pessimistic, they're users, bad influences on your habits, your life, your thoughts, or even placing crystals around your home for protection against negative energy. Now, I'm not adverse on crystals and energy, but I do hear a lot of great things, and there are people out there in the communities that have knowledge. Now, I'm talking knowledge. They don't have to look at a book and read to you, holding up a little crystal and reading to you from a book. You can show them a crystal or a mineral and they'll understand and know what exactly it is and what its attributes are. But do whatever you need to do to protect your energy and your mental health. It's called self-preservation. Number 7 was to turn to your support system. Now, that can be friends and family, where you built a strong community around yourself. It's a shoulder to cry on, a good listener to vent with, someone to change your perspective, or someone to bring out positive emotions in you, or help you out when you need advice. And a strong support system will help you deal with difficult emotions. Hence, it's important to stay in touch with your loved ones, if it's friends or family or your best friend. And if you want to learn how to cope when you're feeling heavy or overwhelming, that's another strong point for the research. So there's also tip number 8 for using positive affirmations and mantras. Things that we can repeat over and tell ourselves how. I'm not really into a lot of positive thoughts and affirmations, but the advice it gives are the things that we tell ourselves can affect how we feel and think. So if you keep telling yourself negative things, you're going to feel the negative emotions, which lived in negative thought patterns, and bringing around the negative energy. If you want to know how to cope with everything when everything is overwhelming, stressing, and negative, you need to recruit positive affirmations and mantras in order to become more optimistic. If you believe in the laws of attraction, you know that you attract whatever you focus on in energy. Thus, if you are repeatedly wish or tell yourself positive things, then your subconscious mind and the universe help manifest them. I kind of look at this. If you're in a negative mindset, find one positive thing you can focus on or say to yourself that help bring you around. Because the more good you put out, the more good that comes back. And as far as the negative stuff that goes on in our lives, I believe karma deals with a lot of it as well. The number 1 tip is also for people that have a lot going on in their lives to try doing one act of kindness. It was point number 9 that was made. And it's, even though you may not be able to solve others' problems, one act of kindness from you to someone else can help change your mindset in those feelings that are going on in your life at the moment, whether it's helping someone out with a task, maybe just having a cup of coffee, which is my go-to. Obviously, I love my coffee. But yeah, changing the mindset especially in your world when things are emotionally charged. Sometimes doing something for somebody else will also help you feel a little bit better about the things that are going on around you. So the act of kindness was number 9. In number 10, actually, which I think should be number 1, but this is an article we're reviewing together. So, and I'm just kind of giving my perspective as we go along. Embrace your emotions and manage them. So repeat it again. Embrace your emotions and manage them. Well, it's good to be optimistic. We also need to be realistic, because sometimes there is no brighter side to some situations. That is one mistake some people make when dealing with difficult emotions. They deny and bottle up the negative emotions instead of embracing them and dealing with them and then letting them go. The campaign for most people is to be more positive has been gaining momentum in the recent years, making everyone experiencing negative emotions feel ashamed or guilty for the feeling that way. But okay. It's called toxic positivity. All the emotions are valid, and no one can manage to be happy and positive all the time. Negative emotions are a natural reaction when bad things happen in your life, and you shouldn't have to apologize or feel guilty or be ashamed for having them. Totally agree. If you want to learn how to cope when everything feels heavy and overwhelming, you need to embrace all your emotions and find ways to manage them. To heal and move on, this could mean to cry or find other outlets to release that emotion. And above all, seek professional help. It's okay not to be okay sometimes. So, wrapping it up for today's vlog, we know life is filled with ups and downs, and although the ups are enjoyable, we often take them for granted and don't notice or appreciate them as much as when they're gone. The downs, on the other hand, affect our happiness and our quality of life negatively. So you want to try your best to prevent negative thoughts from happening in your life, but they might still occur due to the concept of regression. Hence, it's time for you to learn how to cope with everything and find positive ways to deal when you're feeling burdened and protect your mental health, thereby improving the quality of your life. So that was the article for today that we reviewed on some of the tips I hope are useful and helpful and maybe redirecting the heaviness and things to cope when life is a little hectic and crazy. Because there are a lot of aspects in this article, I'm going to take a little bit more time and research, and we'll see what we come up with for next week's vlogs. So I hope you have a great weekend. Don't forget, take a little time for yourself. I know we all have busy, hectic, and chaotic lives, and it's hard sometimes to fill that 15 minutes, half hour break, but I certainly am going to say you're worth taking time for yourself to proactively watch out for your emotions, in your thoughts, in your mindset. Have a great weekend. I hope you have a fantastic Friday, whether it's still morning, afternoon, or lunchtime. Take care, and we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye. Enjoy your coffee.